Council for April 22nd to order at 3 p.m. And I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Nychuk that council adopt the agenda for the regular council meeting April 22nd as amended to include item 10.5 being a letter of support request regarding Red Dress Day, May 5th, 2024, and to delete item 6.5, the municipal software, which presentation is not ready for today.
I'll give you that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. All in favor? Carried. I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Kinghorn that omnibus motion adopts the following in accordance with Council's procedure bylaw, the April 8th, 2024 regular council meeting minutes as presented and the strategic priorities chart.
Thank you, Mayor Snodgrass. I'll give you that motion.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Any public comments before we get started? See anything? Bylaws. First reading bylaw 4629-2024 being the town plan. Sarah?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The subject report is recommending that Council give first reading to the bylaw for the draft town plan and then to direct administration to schedule the public hearing. Administration and the Town Plan Task Force has been working on the town plan since 2022. The town plan includes a vision of what life in High River will look like in 20 years, 2044, as well as a guiding principle and 9 goals, each with associated objectives and policies. In total, there are 21 objectives and 236 specific policies under those 9 goals. Those goals all relate to fostering a small town feel, responsible growth, interconnected community, health and well-being, and parks, recreation, and the environment. There has already been extensive public consultation that has resulted in the proposed draft plan that you see before yourselves today. Like I said, the work started in 2022 with the appointment by council of the task force. This formed the starting point for development of a program to prepare the town plan. One of the key recommendations in the town plan is that it be considered a living document and a work in progress, intended to be utilized and to regularly measure and monitor progress towards the community aspirations of the future. We held an open house for the public at the end of January, which was actually quite well attended, and the feedback collected we used the feedback that we collected at that meeting to update the draft town plan version that we are presenting today. The town also recently heard a presentation from a member of the development community at a council meeting. Administration understands that his key concerns were requirements for laneways for new developments, block lengths and block perimeters, sidewalk widths, and road widths. Administration does believe that we were able to work with this developer as well as other developers to address some of his concerns for subsequent phases of the development. For example, roadways can be narrowed and the laneways are not needed around items such as stormwater management ponds, schools, and commercial developments like was shown in his diagram. However, administration does believe it is important to keep the 2-meter sidewalks on both sides of the road to ensure that 2 people can comfortably walk side by side. And administration does also still agree with the current block length and block perimeter standards in the land use bylaw, also promoting walkability, and those standards are based on the town's block length and block perimeters that are seen in the existing infill areas in the southeast and southwest. There will be a formal presentation at the public hearing, and the town administration recommends that the public hearing be scheduled for May 27th, 2024. That will give administration enough time to circulate all of the agencies as required in the MGA. Are there any questions?
Thanks, Sarah. Any questions from council, as this is just first reading to get it on the schedule? There will be ample time for more questions as we go through second and third reading up to the public hearing. So, any questions? Councillor Smith?
Thank you, Mayor Snodgrass. Not so much a question, just a comment. I would like to sincerely express my appreciation to the team and to our community partners who worked on this for the last 2 years, because certainly been wonderful discussion and a lot of opportunity to explore what we want High River to look like in the next 20, 25 years. So thank you very much. It's a big undertaking.
No other questions. I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Walsh that council give first reading to bylaw 4629/2024 and that council direct administration to schedule a public hearing for May 27th, 2024 at 3 p.m.
You have my motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. All in favor? Carried. Thanks, Sarah. Audited, or the annual financial statements and auditors report. David?
Good afternoon, Council, and welcome, Meena Church from our BDO audit team. You have before you a request for a decision to receive the independent auditor's report from BDO Canada and to adopt the audited financial statements for the town of High River for the year ended December 31st, 2023, as required under sections 276, 277, 278, and 281 of the Municipal Government Act. In summary, the town continues to be financially stable in the short term, given the generation of new cash from operating activities of $6.98 million compared to $6.75 million from 2022, and the use of this cash combined with previous unrestricted and restricted surpluses to reduce long-term debt positions by $1.03 million compared to $1.0 million for 2022, and increase investment into tangible capital assets, including the acquisition of land and the Charles Clark Medical Center by $13.1 million compared to $8.96 million for 2022. Also in summary, the town continues to be financially sustainable over the long term given the cumulative financial positions of all three elements of accumulated surplus. If you recall, unrestricted surplus of $2.5 million, internally restricted surplus of $32.7 million, and equity and tangible capital assets of $261.4 million through fiscal 2023. While it is administration's ongoing objective to receive an unqualified opinion on its annual audited financial statements, the statements you have before you are qualified to recognize the absence of recognition of legal obligations associated with the retirement of tangible capital assets as required under PS 3280 that became effective January 1st, 2023. The steps administration have taken thus far to estimate the town's asset retirement obligation have been substantial, with further work being planned through 2024 that we believe will support the 2024 audited financial statements being unqualified. I would like to personally thank Michelle McLean, Cindy Dupuis, the entire finance team, and our partners at BDO for their incredible hard work and commitment to complete this year's audit program as we prepare to report the financial results to the Government of Alberta on May 1st, as required under the MGA. As noted within the request for decision, administration recommends the adoption of the audited financial statements for the town of High River for the year ended December 31st, 2023. That concludes my comments, and I'd like to hand it over to Meena for the independent auditor's report.
Thank you, everybody.
As mentioned, we have audited the financial statements for the town of High River, which comprises of the financial position as at December 31st, 2023. The statement of operations, changes in net financial assets, and cash flows for the year ended, and the notes in the financial statements, including the summary of significant accounting policies and other explanatory information. In our opinion, except for the possible effects of the matters described in the basis for the qualified opinion of the section of our report, the accompanying financial statements are fairly presented in all material aspects, for the financial position of the town and the results of its operations, changes in its net financial assets, and its cash flows for the year ended in accordance with the Canadian Public Sector Accounting Standards. As mentioned previously, the qualification is a result of the asset retirement obligation, which was not adopted in the current year, although management is working towards getting that unqualified for next year. Is there any questions on the audit report?
Thank you. Questions?
I'd like to pass it on to
Very easy. We've been through it 1,000 times. Nothing.
Perfect. With
That all you
that,
need, David?
Yes, sir. You have
Pretty
the
easy.
R&D.
Housekeeping piece. I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Smith that council receive the independent auditor's report from BDO Canada LLP and adopt the audited financial statements of the town of High River for the year ended December 31st, 2023 as presented, and the council authorize the mayor and chief administrative officer to sign any required documentation to confirm council approvals.
I'll give you that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Good. All in favor? Carried. And we're going to take 2 minutes to sign this so that we'll be all done. That means you too. Okay, next up, the United Way High River Partnership Community Grant. Shelley?
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. I am here today on behalf of the United Way High River Partnership Steering Committee. Our steering committee chair is Glenda Cutforth, and she was unable to attend today, so I'm happy to present this on their behalf. As it states in the report, we have a wonderful partnership with the United Way of Calgary and area, and we are part of that area piece, which means we get a portion of their large campaign, which is great. All the dollars raised in High River stay in High River, which is really important to not only our steering committee, but certainly to us as administration as well, that we continue to contribute to local organizations. In addition to the funds that we receive from the United Way, we have a commitment to do some local fundraising. And it's not always easy. So we put together little bits of funding throughout the year. And I just want to give thank you to the High River Ladies Quilting Group, who donated $200. The Ladies Bunko Night was our first annual last year, and we raised just over $2,300. So I encourage the ladies on council to come on out this year. It's May 8th. It'll be our second annual Bunko Night. The summer drive-in contributed as well, $544. Western Financial has been a long-term supporter of the United Way High River Partnership, and their bake sale raised just over $2,200 last year, which was a lot of baking. And lastly, River City Car Show chose us as one of the charities last year, and so we're very grateful to them, and we have a partnership for this year as well, and they made a contribution of $5,000. So with that, we are able to afford the grants that are in front of you today. I can read them for you, Mr. Mayor, to save you some time. So we are happy to recommend that $10,000 goes to BGC of Foothills, $7,400 to Inclusion Foothills, $10,000 to the High River Food for Thought program, $7,400 to the Wild Rose Community Connections, $4,000 to the High River Performing Arts Foundation, $4,000 to Solace Grief Support, and $12,000 to the No Student Goes Hungry program. We had just over $30,000 that we were not able to, that were oversubscribed this year. So it is always a difficult decision for our committee members to allocate those funds, but the recommendation before you has been in alignment with the United Way's new mandate, looking at priorities in the communities that they serve, which cover mental health, social economic well-being, social inclusion, and healthy relationships. If you have any questions about the recommendation before you, I'd be happy to answer them.
Well done again, Shelley. Councillor Smith.
Thank you. Thank you very much for all your hard work on this. I would just like to declare that I have a conflict of interest, so I will be recusing myself from the vote today.
Thanks, Kelly. Anyone else? Councillor Nychuk.
Thank you, Shelley. Pleasure to have you here as always. Just a point, I guess this is just for the general public, if they're listening. This comes as a decision from committee, right? There's applications that happen. These are all reviewed, and then the recommendations are brought to council for final approval, correct?
Yes, you are right. So there is an application process. We do have an investment committee, which is a subcommittee of the United Way High River Partnership, so that it does exclude any of those that have a conflict of interest. And then upon review of the application and the criteria that I had identified, the decisions are made. Thank you.
Thanks, Shelley. Okay, I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Barton that council approve the allocation as recommended by the United Way High River Partnership Investment Subcommittee of the 2024 United Way High River Partnership Community Grants with funding to come from the 2024 budget of $54,800 as Shelley has previously mentioned.
Yeah, my motion, Mayor.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Thanks, Shelley.
Thank you.
Fire mutual aid agreement with Town of Diamond Valley. Cody?
Afternoon, Mayor and Council. Here to present a mutual aid agreement between us as the Town of High River and the Town of Diamond Valley for fire service mutual aid response. Through our bylaw, we have a section in there that requires us to have approval before we take our fire trucks out of the community. And it is good practice to have mutual aid agreements with communities so liability and all that stuff can be taken care of ahead of time. We have yet to have a mutual aid agreement with Diamond Valley. Turner Valley and Black Diamond, as you know, amalgamated. So now that there's a new community, a new mutual aid agreement needs to be drafted. I've worked with Legislative Services on our mutual aid agreement. We've kind of come to a consensus on a standard template across all of our communities that we do mutual aid with. Again, trying to set up standard rates too. The province does establish rates for when we're on provincial highways and doing highway responses. So as communities, we kind of thought it was fair that we keep those rates the same. It's fair and equitable for both parties that are involved. Again, this isn't something that we're there every day providing that mutual aid. It's a on as needed basis. So large building fires, short staff, things like that. Good example for us is we had Diamond Valley in, well, back then it was Turner Valley and Black Diamond when the manor was on fire. So situations like that where we have the ability to bring these other resources and communities in to support our responses. So any questions on that?
Pretty easy, Cody. Any questions? Good. I will ask for a motion from Councillor Jones that council approve the execution of the presented agreement with the Town of Diamond Valley for Fire Department Mutual Aid, and that council authorize the execution of the agreement by the Chief Fire and Community Safety and the Chief Administrative Officer.
I'll give you that motion, Mayor Snodgrass.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Thanks, Cody.
Thank you.
Renewal agreement for Bishop Dog Park lands. Alicia?
Afternoon, Mayor and Council. Before you today is a renewal for the agreement that the town holds with Mr. Robert Frank Bishop for the lease of the lands that we currently operate as an off-leash dog park, just south of the Bishop Crossing Shopping Centre. The dog park has successfully operated within High River since it was developed in 2018 and is an important community hub for many dog owners in High River and surrounding foothills areas to offer a safe space for dogs and their owners to exercise and explore. Continuing the agreement with Mr. Bishop for the lease of the lands will ensure this municipal asset continues to be available for dog owners in our community. Mr. Bishop has reviewed the terms of the lease, which remain unchanged from the current lease agreement that's been in place since inception. The lease terms remain as a 3-year lease with an option to extend for one additional period of 3 years. The costs related to the operation and any maintenance needs of the dog park are included in the annual operating budget. And Darlene Donovan, as the Parks and Facilities Supervisor, has reviewed the agreement terms and given their support for the renewal as well. Additionally, administration has had no issues relating to this lease or with our relationship with Mr. Bishop over the course of the agreement. As seen in the agenda package, Mr. Bishop has signed the new agreement as an acknowledgement of his support in continuing this arrangement. Mr. Bishop shared the following words with me. We have been really happy with how the town has taken care of the property, even though it gets a lot of use. It is great to see so many happy dogs. Hoping that covers everything necessary to finalize the execution of this lease with Mr. Bishop for the operation of the dog park, but please let Darlene or I know if you have any questions. Thanks.
Thanks, Alicia. Any questions? Pretty easy. Ask for a motion from Councillor Nychuk that council approve the execution of the presented agreement with Robert Frank Bishop for the lease of the lands with a legal land description and plan 1510155 Block 10 Lot 3 for 3 years to July 31st, 2027 with an optional extension term of an additional 3 years to July 1st, 2030. And that council authorize the execution of the agreement by the mayor and CAO.
Happy to give you that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Thanks, Alicia.
Thank you.
Thanks, Darlene. Item 6.5 was taken off, so we'll move on. Any council reports? Councillor Jones?
Thank you, Mayor Snodgrass. Actually, last week was Volunteer Week. I hope many of you know that. And I wanted to thank all the volunteers in the town who volunteer, because without them, this town wouldn't be the wonderful town it is to live in and work in. There were many, many, many events in High River last week with different not-for-profits and other associations that use volunteers, as well as the town of High River held 4 of them. So I wanted to say thank you to Jody, and Natasha's not here, for sort of running those events. I was lucky enough to be able to attend all 4 and had many wonderful conversations with the volunteers in our town. I do wish there were more people who attended, but the people that were there, were very humble and kind, and I got to meet and see people that I hadn't met before. So it was a wonderful experience. So thank you, Jody, for doing that. And then I have one more thing. Last night I went to the Windmill Theatre production of Grease that is put on twice a year, I believe, in our town. We're very lucky to have the Windmill Theatre in our town, and I know that they were sold out this past weekend, but it was a really great production with young kids from age, I'm gonna say 13 to 25. I think they had about 20 different actors and actresses in there. It was very funny and well put together, and I admire every one of those people that were up on stage. So if you get a chance to see it, that's great, and help support them. They do have a 50-50 draw that they're doing, I think, till the end of December, as well as they do have like raffles and stuff there, because they're always looking for money and help to support that. But most of those
young people are volunteers and put in a lot of time and a lot of effort into that production, and kudos to them. It was wonderful.
Thanks, Jenny. Well said on both fronts. Question, Jody, with the change in volunteer week and how we handle that appreciation, we went from doing it one night at the golf course to doing it multiple days. Just feedback of how you think it went. And
Absolutely, I'd love to share. We took a different approach this year, went with 4 different events at 4 different times throughout the days at 4 different locations. So it was a bit of a trial. We did have attendees at each of the events, but not as big of a celebration as we have experienced in the past when we have the one big event. I think for next year, we will reconsider and possibly host 2 events is what I'm thinking, but of course we need to collect more information and see what council's desire would be. Just because we did get some good feedback that having more options was nice. However, we didn't actually see it in the numbers. So it was interesting, at least for myself, Jenny might be able to comment as well, that having the smaller events did allow for better connection, though, I felt. So interesting.
okay. No, we'll talk about it more before next year. Just curious. Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Mayor Snodgrass. I would just like to update everybody. The Museum of the Highwood had their annual general meeting last week, and they will be looking to augment their membership. So over the next year, it is a hidden gem, and their social media campaign has just taken off. It's a real lesson in what to do. So if anybody's interested, the membership is $20, and there's a lot to be seen at the museum. Additionally, I am aware, further to the volunteer piece, that there is a volunteer fair happening at the Highwood Center on May 15th. So if there are people who are interested in becoming more involved in the community, there will be a number of nonprofits in-house, as well as the center itself, who are always looking for volunteer support. So there you go. Thank you.
Thanks, Kelly. No one else? Move to board and committee reports. Anybody? None. Kind of covered off in the first one. Any public comments before we move into correspondence? See none. So council correspondence requiring action. We got a few of these. So a number of proclamations. So the first one, High River Healthcare Heroes Day. I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Walsh that council proclaim May 2nd, 2024 as Healthcare Heroes Day in High River, and that council authorize the mayor to sign the Town of High River Healthcare Heroes Day proclamation.
I'll give you that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Smith. The council proclaim May 5th to 11th, 2024 as Safety and Health Week in High River, and that council authorize the mayor to sign the Town of High River Safety and Health Week proclamation.
I'll give you that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, all in favor? Carried. And I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Barton that council proclaim May 5th to 11th, 2024 as Emergency Preparedness Week in High River, and the council authorize the mayor to sign the Town of High River Emergency Preparedness Week proclamation.
You have my motion, Mayor.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Marigold Library System Schedule C requisition. Chris?
As council recalls, this is something that we do annually to fund the Marigold Library System. It is a shared resource between the library board and ourselves. We fund them to provide assets to our local library through interlibrary loans and other operations where their funding is returned from them. So it's a standard amount, and we budget for that within our annual budget each year. Thank you, Mayor Snodgrass.
Standard housekeeping stuff. No questions. Councillor Nychuk.
Thanks. Late to the party, but can we declare multiple things in the same week? We were coming to
I
this at
asked-
some place for the number of days and weeks and stuff that's on the calendar now. I was like, can we proclaim multiple?
We had the same conversation, and I'll be honest, prior to this meeting, when we were going through the agenda, Councillor Kinghorn, myself, and Chris, Jody, and Sharon, as we go through these things, and they are absolutely getting overwhelmed with these proclamations and wanting everybody needs a week, and so we do need to start to doing proclamations is one thing, but the other piece is raising a flag for everybody, because it gets to be a little bit much. So my opinion is we need to kind of pick our top 3 things that we raise a flag for. But as far as making proclamations and supporting these organizations, regardless of which week falls on, I think it's important we continue to do it, because they have their schedules as to when they want their weeks, and yes, sometimes they overlap. So.
Well, I wasn't saying don't do it. I just
Yeah.
wasn't sure if there was some crazy MGA thing that said you couldn't. Or
No, you
I
can
don't
do a
know.
lot in a week.
We'll do it all then.
Trust
Great.
me. Yes.
Let's keep it going.
You do it all in a week. Where am I? We didn't do the marigold, right? I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Jones that council authorize the mayor and chair of the High River Library Board to sign Schedule C to the marigold agreement outlining the levy rates for municipalities and library boards for 2025 and 2026. And the council direct administration to return a fully executed copy of Schedule C to marigold.
I'll give you that motion, Mayor Snodgrass.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. And item 10.5 that was added is in regards to Red Dress Day on May 5th, 2024. And this is a day to honor the memories of missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls across Canada, with the hope that this may inspire others to do the same in making this proclamation. So I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Nychuk to council allow the organizers of the Red Dress Day to place red dresses within George Lane Park on May 5th, 2024 to honor the memories of missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls across Canada.
I'll give you that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Council correspondence for information. So there's Alberta Health Services EMS update presentation that came to council on April 8th. Now, there is a public comment that ties into this that I'll address at the same time as we do this. And it's in regards to that presentation from AHS and EMS that they requested for us to hold in camera. And we had questions before it even started as to whether it should be in camera or not. And we did that in the public meeting, but they were adamant that there was certain pieces of information in that presentation that they that needed to be held in camera. I don't know about anybody else, but I didn't see anything in that meeting that seemed to be in camera worthy. It was, they said there's some embargoed stuff, but I didn't see anything. So the feedback that we've got is from Mr. Don Sharp, who's doing a lot of, he's a very strong advocate for EMS in Alberta. And he said the High River Town Council met on April 8th, 2024 in a confidential closed session with a delegation from AHS EMS. To their credit, when the meeting was over, councillors realized it had been a mistake to have the entire meeting, including the PowerPoint presentation and Q&A, out of the public view. I'm writing today to thank council members and staff for their courage and honesty, taking the time and effort necessary to notify citizens who were following this issue, myself included. Now, I'll defend that. I don't feel it was a mistake. It was just, we asked the question, they said there was items in there. So I respected AHS and EMS. Whether I have a different opinion now is different. But leading up to that, I feel it was the right thing to take it in camera. He has two requests: that the minutes for the April 8th meeting be amended under item 13.1 to reflect the name of the organization. Well, in-camera sessions don't have minutes attached, so that's, that won't happen. And that the April 22nd minutes include under item 11.1 an explanation of what happened, with reassurance that presentations of this nature will be held in a public session going forward. So that I completely agree with Don, that when we have a presentation from AHS EMS again, there's got to be some very, very definitive information that says why we're going in camera. I want to know what that is, because and if they still want to hold it in camera, the answer is no. And if you don't like the no, well, then don't present here. So they can do it in other communities, but what's in the presentation that we're sharing today is the PowerPoint. That's what they presented, so that was it. So so those were the two questions that we have that have been addressed today. So that's that one. And then there's correspondence regarding the High River Peaking Power Plant that's there as well. And last but not least is a farewell and congratulations to Nicole Chappelle for, what is it, 10 years? 11? 20? 30? But I want to thank Nicole, because you've been a rock star since the day you arrived, and even more so when we were in between with CAOs and moving around just before we hired Chris. You helped us in that time. That was a big, big deal for us and for myself and council. No question that the fact that you, not like I gave you a choice, but that you did step up in a fantastic way to fill that gap for us, Nicole. And congratulations on your retirement. We're going to miss you, but thank you. And congratulations, you're free from these meetings ever again in your life. From now on, it'll be voluntary, and that's your own problem. So, from there, meeting adjourned, 3:37.